Everyone. We are at the Waste Management Open this weekend. We are in Scottsdale, Arizona. Um, really fun tournament to be at, and a really good. A lot of the guys that do well here tend to do well here year to year. Um, so I like the course history angle a lot this week. Um, there are some guys that are kind of on off here. Some guys that are interesting because we don't have many stats for them, or um, they're kind of rounded into form, or um, might be kind of rounding out of form. So we'll get into that. I actually want to start with the Euro this week just because it locks. I'm recording Tuesday night. Yeah, the Euro locks on Wednesday. I believe in the like early evening, maybe late afternoon, um, because we're in Malaysia for that tournament, the Maybank Championship. Um, so yeah, I built a few lineups I really like for the Euro event. I'm probably just going to play um, one lineup over there. I've kind of narrowed it down to one that I really, really like. So that said, I'm going to move over to sheet two here, and we'll get the Euros started quick. I narrowed it down already to some of these guys that I like. I just changed the odds. I updated them. Some of these guys got steamed pretty good. But yeah, we'll get right into it. So at the top is Stenson. Um, just he's the best player in the field, bar none. But I mean, you're gonna have to pay for him. Is Stenson gonna win here? Maybe. Um, and I mean, if the history is any indication, this course is one where the studs um, tend to show up. I mean, Levy, as they call him on the broadcast. I don't know if it's Levy or Levy. Lee and Wiesberger all finished top five last year. So, I mean, when you take that angle, and you look at Stenson, there's no reason to suggest that he won't finish up there. Um, there's some value plays that may let you potentially plug in two of these guys. That's not the angle that I'm going to take in my main lineup. I might see what comes out after this, after I run through everybody. Um, but I would definitely support a Lee Wiesberger combination at the top here. The problem is, I'll just preface anything else by saying that all these guys at the top are great plays. I think I would think that Levy goes under-owned because he was a value play last week, and people are going to see this price bump, and they're going to say, well, I'm just going to take Stenson. Or, even better, I'm just going to take the lower-priced guy that actually won last week in Hao Tong Lee. Very impressive performance last week, coming off of a miscut even and winning. And he finished fifth here last year, so I really like that price on him. Fourth highest priced golfer, third best odds depending on where you look. He's kind of even with Wiesberger, but yeah, I mean, all these four guys at the top are great plays. I think if you're not playing at least one of them in every one of your lineups, you're probably doing it wrong. I think you definitely want one of these four in every lineup you make. Right now, I'm just leaning toward Lee as he is the cheapest, and just the way the rest of the lineup build went, that's where I ended up. I also am just going to keep playing Dylan Fratelli. I think he's a really good player, and trending up, 20th, 19th, 6th. Didn't play here last year, but yeah, he's too good. And there's odds value on him even. So, hopefully people aren't playing him because he got the price bump too, but I'm going to keep going back to the well. The results are there. Jung Hung Wang, yeah, form is good. Miscut here last year, a little worrisome, but yeah, if I wasn't playing like all the Fratelli, but Fratelli's gonna be the chalk. Wang will be a pivot if you want to go that route. I mean, I'm just playing who I think are the best plays. I think Fratelli's a better play than Wang. That said, that's what everyone's going to think. So you could play Wang in a GPP if you wanted to. Thorbjorn Olesen hasn't really shown the upside, in the past couple of weeks like some of these other guys have. I think if I'm going in this range, I'll probably go with Paisley over Olesen, over Sullivan, over Kira Desh, the Barn Rat. Yeah, I mean, Paisley, 41st here last year, but I mean, you look at his last 3 weeks, beating Brandon Grace in the playoff in South Africa, and then 5th and 5th in these 2 Middle East events. So that said, really good form, just playing well. I think you just keep riding it and just hope for the best. Detry, not really a guy I play. Lipsky, 6th last week, 2nd here last year, 8K, 40-1. All signs point to him being a good play this week again. Paul Peterson, I don't know what tour he won on last week. Maybe I think it's one of these like lower tier European kind of tours. But yeah, good American player, but I don't really see myself paying 8,800 for that this week. Same goes for Burmester, just not really going there. Juiced Louiston screwed me out of a big weekend last weekend, so I'm going to be off of him. That would be short-sighted than me, actually. So, yeah, I mean, didn't play here last year, really hasn't shown upside at all in, like, the past year. I mean, he's just... Louiston, to me, is like the Matt Kuchar of the European Tour. He'll make cuts, and he'll finish top 30, 40 a lot. But rarely are you talking about juiced Kuchar for the win. They'll backdoor a top 10 every now and again, but, he's a guy where if he's high priced, I'm not really going to want to play him. If he's lower priced, I'll consider it. But when he's in this mid-range, I'd rather just take shots in the mid-range on guys that I think have more upside. Norris is interesting because he's in really good form right now, but miscut here last year is a little worrisome. But I'd rather just take Paisley, who is in better form and made the cut last year. Hayden Porch is also interesting. He played really well on Thursday in Dubai. Got a lot of that round on TV when I was in the hotel in Hawaii. I like him, 8,300. I think he's worth owning a bit this week. Zanotti is an interesting case because he won here last year, missed the cut last week in Dubai, but finished 9th the week before that. So it's hard to say that he's out of form. He just, I don't even think he missed the cut badly last week. I think he may have missed it like on the number or one off. But, defending champ, there's got to be some merit in that. 9th 2 weeks ago. Miscut last week, but that was also a stronger field overall. So, yeah, I'll give Zanotti a pass on that one. I'll fire him up at 7,600 this week. I don't really like Westwood. 26th last year here, but 2 miscuts in a row. Which hasn't been playing well recently. I don't know what's up with him. He's definitely a class player in this field, given his like overall body of work long term. But Zanotti won here last year. I would take that over Lee Westwood all day. My boy Sharma, really interesting. Coming off of, I think it was a win on like one of the European satellite tours, 11th, and then a first. Just playing good golf. Didn't play as well the last 2 weeks, but those were, like I said before, much stronger fields. I don't know if those were tournaments that he's actually played before. Abu Dhabi and Dubai. Finished 9th here last year. I think this is a good spot for him to bounce back from those last 2 weeks and potentially post another really impressive performance. So I like Sharma this week a lot. Bjork interests me in GPPs only. Scrivener, I don't know why the data for him wasn't on the sheet I was looking at, but yeah. Richie Ramsey, I think, is interesting. If you want to take some shots there, I don't hate it. Scott Vincent, I'm going to probably avoid. He tends to just play well in South Africa and those kind of events, which is a little weird, but he is from Zimbabwe, so give him a pass there. Gavin Green, kind of like a trendier player. 7,200, 47th last year. He is Malaysian, if you want that home cooking. 45th, 8th last 2 weeks. I don't hate 7,200 price tag on Gavin Green. Could blow up, but I think he is. I think he's a good play at 7,200. I'm not going to make any promises about how he plays this week, but I do think he has high potential to make the cut at 7,200, which is what you're looking for down there. Hideto Tanihara, guy I never play. The last guy I really want to just talk about at length is Sam Brazel. I don't know how to say his name. I'm assuming it's not Brazil. Australian guy, been really solid, making a lot of cuts in a row recently. Had him penciled in as a value play last week. Really wish I went with him or Poulter over Luyten. Would have been a great week for me. Instead, I ate some chalk on Luyten, missed the cut, and it screwed me. And I even said last week, you could go back to Poulter here if you want, and I didn't do it, and it cost me. But that's neither here nor there. Brazel is going to be my value play of the week. I want him everywhere. Like if you take him, Green, Sharma, Lipsky. I don't know what you're left over there, but we're like him, Green, Sharma, Matt Wallace down at 7,700. Just been playing well recently. Poom Saxenen, good form. Missed the cut here last year, so maybe worth a dart. Lara Fabo, I'm going to fade. I'm kind of just running through the list here. Mike Lorenzo Vera is interesting, given his good performance last year here. Gaganjit Bular, interesting as well, given his performance last year and recent performances. Scott Hend, I will probably... I don't know what to do with Scott Hend. You could pivot off of Lipsky to Hend. I think Lipsky will be chalky. Hend will not. So if Lipsky blows up and Hend does what he's been doing recently and what he did here last year, you'll have some leverage there. Lorenzo Vera, Wallace, I think are solid plays. Campillo, I'm not going to really be on. Bular and Poom, I think are interesting. Shiv Kapoor, also interesting. As I go down here, until Pepperell finds his game back, I'm going to be off of him. Nino Bertazio, 6,900, interesting play. I think he's fine, but I like Brazil better. That said, I think Brazil will be chalky. So, maybe some Bertazio as a pivot, or if you're trying to jam the studs, Bertazio should probably be a safe play there too. Down at the bottom here, I just have some guys that kind of just pure punt plays. I would not even consider in cash. I don't know why you'd even play cash on Eurotour, but Hansen, sick last week. Maybe it continues. Lagergren and Hebert, I'm not going to play. Warren, I'm not going to play. Dodd, you could consider him. Rock, I'm not going to play. And Pitta Yaret, 9th here last year. And 21st 2 weeks ago. So that's pretty much all I got there. I'll run down top plays real quick. Stenson, Levy, Lee, Wiesberger, Fratelli, Paisley, Lipsky, Porteous, Zanotti, Sharma, Green, Brazel, Bular, Hend, Wallace, Lorenzo Vera, Capur, Bertazio, and punt on Poom if you want to do that. I don't hate Otegui either. Forgot to mention him, but I wouldn't consider him a guy that I'm really looking at. So that's it for the Maybank. If you got any questions about that, you can hit me up on Twitter, or if you're a part of Fan Cave, in the Slack. I'll be there. Send me your lineups. I'll take a look at them. Let you know what I'm up to there. So back to the waste management. Yeah, it's last week sucked. I will preface this entire thing by saying last week sucked. I had a lot of Johnny Vegas, and my initial build had Norin. Still had Vegas, but I had Rom, Norin. My initial build last week was Rom, Norin, Steele, Vegas. Rom, Norin, Steele, Vegas. That's 4. And then I think I had Molinari and like I forget who it was. But I ended up on what turned out, or I think it was Charles Howe, ended up being my like 6th golfer. But yeah, I ended up on Leishman, Finau, Woodland, Howe, which great core of 4 guys there. And then Johnny Vegas killed it, just murdered my lineup. And then Molinari was the bottom end guy. If I went with Hoffman, I think Hoffman was 100 less than Molinari. If I went with Hoffman over Molinari and then Norin over Vegas, I would have had a smash week. And instead, Vegas just murdered me. And in hindsight, it was a dumb decision because Norin, long-term, much better player than Vegas, more consistent overall his career. Just hadn't shown me enough on U.S. soil or recently, even on the Euro Tour, to make me really want to play him in cash. And I considered it. I talked to people about it, but I did not go there. And it killed me. FanDuel was a disaster because Ali and Vegas missed the cut. Yeah, so that all sucked. But we're back this week. Don't play Ricky Fowler at Torrey Pines. We tried to buck the narrative last week. Didn't work. Yeah. But we are back this week in Scottsdale, Arizona. Nice place. Rich people live there. Some of these golfers live there too. We'll get to that. Hideki owns this course. First, second, fourth, last 4 years. I'm kind of getting tired of playing the highest priced golfer in cash, but they keep giving me the value to do it, and that's not good. They keep giving me the value to do it, and until they don't give me that value, I'm probably just going to keep doing it. And it's not even that I think Hideki is a much better play than... Stop it. I don't even think that Hideki is that much better of a play than Spieth this week, but I mean, why would I argue against it? First, second, fourth. This course does not require putting in any stretch of the imagination. It requires ball striking, and right now, Hideki, elite ball striker, just can't really putt. You know, the performances here have been stellar. Spieth has also played really well here, but Spieth is having, it's like bizarro Spieth this year. His putting is letting him down, but the rest of his game is on point. Maybe this is the spot where he comes out and fires away because, putting isn't going to really do it for anybody this week. These greens where you pretty much can 2-putt and move on. I don't think these guys are going to be rolling 3 putts around the greens. So I don't think Spieth has to worry about that. I think he can go Drano here. Yeah. That said, I mean, you can't really play Spieth and Hideki together. I'll probably just take Hideki, take that course history, put it in my pocket, and go. That said, Spieth is going to be chalky, so maybe what you want to do is find one of these guys and go overweight on them. I can't tell you who. And both of them are going to be, I think, equally owned because they're only $100 off. The lineup, it doesn't really build itself this week, like some weeks it tends to. So, I really do think that either of these guys is fine in a cash game, given the value that's out there. Um, but maybe the strategy in GPPs is to own either one of them a lot or fade them both in favor of Rom or a JT who's going to be lower owned. Ricky will probably be actually. I don't know what to do with Rom. I think a lot of people are mad because Rom fell off last Sunday. They're saying it's like a fatigue thing. I mean, that's possible, but did Rom did Rom play the Sony Open? I don't think he did. No, I don't think he did. So yeah, I mean, I don't think it's. I don't think that's. I don't think the fatigue is a thing for Rom. I mean, he's what like Rom might be younger than me. I mean, for Christ's sake, I'm 24. Yeah, how is he fatigued? I don't get it. But he did go to. He went to Arizona State, 16th, 5th, 2 times here. The fifth came when he was an amateur. So, I mean, he's definitely gotten better since then. I'd say that. But yeah, Rom's, in my opinion, just a great GPP play this week. I wouldn't be playing him in cash just because Hideki's right there and been playing equally well and did not fall off last weekend. So if I'm paying up, I'm paying for Hideki, but Rom is right there. GPP makes sense. JT or Ricky, Ricky's a good play here this week. It's fine. I don't really have too much of a take. I mean, we've got 5 of the best golfers in the world in this field. It's going to be good TV if they cover it right. But yeah, and then JT 10-3. Really interesting because I don't know how I missed the cut here the last 2 years. I really don't know what he was up to. Um, Especially like last year, he was coming off of that Hawaii stretch where he won twice. Um, yeah, and then just came here and missed the cut. Like, it's very strange. So I don't know what was up with him last year here, but he's gonna go under own just because people don't like that course history. So worth shots. You can plug in 2 of these top guys in a lineup and just fill out with value. It is viable to do that this week. Not sure that's where I want to go with many of my lineups, but worth a shot. Leishman, I think I'm going to fade this week. I don't see the upside really being there for him here. Leishman is a guy that doesn't really do anything like the best in the world, but he is just a very good player. So when you get to these courses where it's like ball striker paradise and putting doesn't really matter, I think Leishman loses a little bit because he's not an elite ball striker and he's not an elite putter. He's just a very good player. So I don't really want too much Leishman this week. Berger's interesting. I believe he played pretty well at the Sony Open, but he's also in this range, this 9,500. Am I really paying $9,500 for Daniel Berger in this field? Probably not. Noren, yeah, bitter. Noren, I just don't think people are going to play him. I don't think a lot of people that play DFS golf really know who Alexander Noren is. And if they do, they know him as a guy that they hear talked up in majors and doesn't come through. I mean, obviously Noren's stats are really good, but that's because he's only played 1 tournament over here this year, and he was killing it. So that said, I mean, Noren's probably a fine play this week. It's just the price bump and disappointment in losing last week maybe carries over a little bit. And again, he hasn't really shown besides last week that he's great in the States. So Maybe he's over it. I don't know, but 9,200. Yeah, it's a little steep. Fino, I'm gonna fade Fino this week. Again, I didn't end up fading him last week actually. I faded him at the Sony or the Career Builder, one of the two. Um, but I got back to him last week. But two miscuts here last 2 years is kind of weird. Um, yeah, I'm just not really going to be on him. I do like Webb at 8,900. Webb chalk is always scary, but no worse than 14th here in his last 5 tries. That counts for a lot in my book. Webb is he's putting better, and the ball striking is still there. I've heard some people say, well, the putting is going to go regression, but he changed his grip, and when you make a physical change like that in your game, it makes a difference. Um, it's not like these guys just hold the club and swing it. They have grips. They have multiple things that go into their clubs and club making that we don't know about all these changes. But when you know that a player has switched something and something has changed now, it's worth taking note of. And Webb switching his putter grip after his his long anchored putter got banned. That's a thing of substance. So I am buying Webb's newfound putting prowess, and I'm gonna keep going with it. Lost the playoff here last year to Hideki, but yeah, he's played so well here that I don't see a reason not to go back there. The price is steep, I will say that, but I think he is worth it this week. Gary Woodland, very interesting play. Seems to just making me sweat too much on Fridays, Gary. Um, playing like shit day one, and then front nine playing like shit, and then the back nine on fire 2 weeks ago, and then last week did pretty much the same thing. I don't know what to do with Gary this week. I don't. Yeah, that bogey avoidance stat sticking out like a sore thumb. Besides a lot of good results here, 5, or more years ago, he's been inconsistent since. Last year was a weird year for him, some family stuff, but besides that, he's been solid here. 8,600, I think, is a very fair price tag. You should probably own some Woodland this week. JB Holmes falls into that category as well, where fits this course well if you're going Bombers narrative. I'm not really going Bombers narrative, but people might not play him because they're pissed at him for what he did last week. I'm not going to go through the explanation of it, but if you want it, just search JB Holmes Twitter. You'll find some good stuff on there. Zach Johnson is going to be really chalky this week. I'm just going to play him. This history and form combination, too good to pass up at this price. I am going to be eating chalk there. Austin Cook is definitely worth playing again this week. It's just a matter of his price just hasn't been fitting my builds. Like the lineup that I'm settling on, he's just not fitting. The last few weeks, he's in kind of this dead range, and I think he's a legit player, but I'm just not finding 8,300 to be trustworthy when I can go Kuchar at 84. Kuchar, I feel like, is a stone lock to make the cut. Now that I said that, he's going to miss. But yeah, I really like Kuchar at 84. Byung-Hung An at 8,000. The stats are going to be trash, but that's because he missed a cut on the PGA Tour recently, and all these other guys have been playing Birdie Fest. So comparatively to them, he's going to look worse. That said, he finished 6th last year here. This is a ball striker's course. That is what Ben On does. I wanted to go real quick and Young Han On Omega Dubai 2017. I want to see if he played. I know he played. This Dubai tournament I think in either 2017 or 2016, he played in, yeah, fourth over there in Dubai, and I don't know if he played last year. Let me check the leaderboard. Yeah, I don't know if he played this last year. He played this last year, and then yeah, I don't think he did. Yeah, because I was gonna say if he came over last year, I mean, why would you be worried about this whole deal with him coming over from abroad? But yeah, Dubai to Arizona, I mean, pretty far, but I think we overblow this travel narrative sometimes. Like Rose last week looked just fine. Um, you know, Byung Hun wouldn't be here unless he wanted to. Um, Sixth last year, coming off of a sixth place finish as well in Dubai. Um, I think he is just fine this week to play. He tends to play well at courses that he has played well in the past. They fit his game, which is ball striking mainly, putting totally secondary. So 8K I think is a good price on him. I'm not sure how many people are going to play him, but I do like Ben on this week. So on Kuchar ZJ, Woodland and Holmes are more GPP for me. Webb is both. Fading Fee now, just going up the top guys here. Noren maybe worth going back to, but Berger, I don't really want to pay 9,500. Leishman, don't really want to pay 9,700 in this field. Thomas, GPP. Fowler, more GPP for me. I would say he's cash, just given the last two times out here. And people might worry about the miscut last week, but this is what he's been doing. He misses the cut at Torrey, comes here a week later, and runner up 2 years ago, fourth. So Fowler, I think is viable in any format, but I'm just not really going there. John Rahm, viable in all formats, maybe worth going overweight in GPPs if you don't believe the people that want to fade him. Spieth, Hideki, viable in all formats, but will be chalky. Yeah. God, making me consider a Ricky Cash lineup now. Why do I do this to myself? Phil, fade. Don't play Phil. I don't care. I'm just not playing him. I'm done with Phil. Done. Brendan Steele, cash game lock. That's all I'm going to say about him. Here's where it gets interesting. Patrick Reed, Kevin Chappell. I'm already locking in ZJ and Steele. And when I do that with the rest of these guys that I like, I keep ending up with the same amount left over, and it's 7,700. So I keep ending up with enough for Kevin Chappell or Patrick Reed. Problem is, I don't trust either of them here. Kevin Chappell has the flashy stats from recent tournaments to make me want to play him. He also has, he played like complete trash on the weekend last year, as did Patrick Reed. When the cut is 70 and you finish 75th, that means you made the cut and played so bad on the weekend that you fell basically to the worst out of the people that made the cut. You were the last. You basically were last place that played the weekend. That's not good. That makes me hesitant about Chappell. I've seen some stuff that suggests that he is not a good fit here. The 3 missed cuts attest to that. Also a 30th and a 24th. So, I mean, if you're buying into this form that he's shown recently, hard not to really like him over Reed. That said, Reed played well last week. He has 2 top tens this year, and they were not totally recent events, but I mean he sucked at the Career Builder, if I remember correctly. And he hasn't really come out here and lit it up. This course doesn't really seem to fit his game too much. 68th, 40th, 19th. The 19th is good, but 40th, 68th, that's not going to get it done for me. So I think Chapo has more upside, and I want to say that they're equally safe. My worry is you're seeing missed cuts with Chappell here in the past, whereas Reed just hasn't played as often. But I think right now I'm leaning Chappell by like a hair. I honestly kind of want to make my lineup so that I don't have to play either of these guys at this point. But if I have to pick one right now, I think I'm leaning Chappell. It scares me, but that's where I'm at. The stats tell me to play Chappell. Form tells me to play Chappell. Harris English. Oh God, Harris English. He's turning around. Kind of looks like your drunk cousin in his DK FanDuel pictures, but might be worth a look here. GPPs only, and for me, FanDuel only. I can't pay 8,100 for Harris English. Won't happen. 8,500 on FanDuel is a good value, though. I do like that over there. Be warned, there is some risk involved, but he hasn't missed a cut here, which is really interesting. Even in these down years, he's still making the cut. So, hard not to play Harris English on FanDuel at that price, to be honest. Pat Kazire, I'm still not totally sure if this is a turn in his career or what's going on with him, but if you want to ride the form, you can do that. Keegan might be popular this week after last week. That said, Keegan is never that popular because he's known to be inconsistent. The thing with that is he hasn't been that inconsistent lately. And despite a miscut here last year, he has some top 25s. I mean, if he's not missing the cut here, I think he's doing pretty well. So I don't mind going back to Keegan at 7,400. It's just, do I want to do it in cash? Not really. Not really. More GPP for me, but if you played him in cash, I wouldn't hate it. It's just not. It's not something I tend to do. Charlie Hoffman, 7,500. I think still too low on Charlie Hoffman, but he didn't really pop last week and hasn't really popped here in a long time. So I think I'm just going to fade him this week. Same goes for Stanley. Since his win here, he's been mediocre at best. Didn't really play too well last week. His ball striking has still been pretty poor. It's actually his putting that's been good, which is not Kyle Stanley's game at all. So I think if that ball striking stays bad, he's going to really struggle this week. Ryan Palmer. If I ignore all of Ryan Palmer's last year results, I think I'm going to be better off. Besides that, he's been very good at this tournament. Really played well last week. I don't see a reason why this can't continue with him. He's moved on past the issues that he had personally last year. His stats are really lining up. He's been trending up. His game seems to be rounding around, shaking the rust off. I do like Ryan Palmer this week. I do not like a 7,900 price tag. Um, 9,300 on FanDuel is much more reasonable. Um, if you're in that low 9K range, it's like Benon, Brendan Steele, I think, are the best plays there. But I do like Palmer. I do like Keegan as well, um, down in that range. Piercy, interesting to me. We know he was hurt last year. Kind of played through it a little bit, and then finally just like stopped trying. But besides that, he has a lot of good results here. Ball striking course, Piercy is a good ball striker. Um, so I don't mind if you're taking some shots on Piercy. People don't play him; they just won't. Um, so it's more of a JPP play for me, if I'm being completely honest. But I do want some Piercy action this week. Shane Lowry, I'm going to be fading. Um, Last week was a week where if you're going pure course history, you're playing Shane Lowry. This week is pretty much the same. Um, Missed the cut last week. I'm not going to hop back on for without some form now. Molinari is another guy that's a good ball striker. 22nd year in the past. Made the cut last week. Torrey Pines played all right. I don't really see him missing the cut here. So I'm fine with Molinari in all formats. 7,300. DraftKings is the only place I'd play him. 10-2 on FanDuel is a complete fade. For me, that's an overprice. I don't think he has the upside to pay that off. So I'll fade him over there. Adam Hadwin. Good history here, actually. Not really known as a ball striker. More of a putt-making guy. But, yeah, I mean, he played well at the Career Builder, where he has great course history. But besides that, he hasn't really played well this year, so maybe he's just going to keep playing well at these places where he's played well before. If you want to take that angle, you can fire him up in GPP. I will not be owning him this week, though. Ryan Moore has not played in a while, but maybe worth a shot in GPPs based on his history alone. Not in my pool really, but you can go there. Cam Smith is a guy that's going to go low owned this week for really no apparent reason. I mean, he's been piecing together top 25s, 42nd here last year. I don't see a reason why you should not play Cam Smith this week. He played really well to start the year. And I think people, Cam Smith in top 10 again this week. Okay, I'm not going to play Cam Smith anymore. Well, if he's getting in top 25 for you at these value prices, you're doing all right. It's not a sexy play. It's not a big name, but he's been getting the job done. So I do like Cam Smith this week. JJ Spawn, I like as well. Played well last week at a course where he played well the year before. Don't see why that wouldn't happen here again. This course fits him well, and I like me some JJ Spawn. 8,800 on FanDuel is a good price for him, by the way. 7,500 on DraftKings. It's hard for me to really want to play like Spawn over Chap or Molinari, who I think is safer. Is a better pedigreed player than Spawn is. But yeah, Spawn, GPP mainly for me. Not really in the business of playing JJ Spawn in cash. Snedeker, I'm going to have to wait and see still. Cauley hasn't really popped here in the past, and, last week was a week where not really going to be on him again here. Ollie burned me last week, not going to be back on him. Henley, off. Knox. What do you ever do with Russell Knox? I don't know. Russell Knox, GPP only. Xander, I'm going to fade. Chez has been killing it recent form, but terrible at this event. I don't know what it is. I know he's got a lot of connections in the area, but that might distract him. I don't know. It's hard for me to say. I mean, if you play him, just know that his history here is terrible. but the stats are some of the best in the field. So there's that. Griot, great ball striker. I just don't know. When he puts it all together, he's very good, but he tends not to. Um, if he just struggles with the approach game or any really part of his game at all, he's just going to post a mediocre performance. Bubba, I'm going to have to wait and see still. Harkins is really interesting. People are finally talking about this guy, making all the cuts, really playing well. And go to Brandon Harkins' Twitter page. Tell me his home location on the bio. Spoiler alert: it's Scottsdale. He's been practicing here in the off season, so he should be familiar with this layout. Even though he's never played it before, I don't see a reason why he can't continue playing well. He's shown me nothing to suggest that he will stop playing good golf. So yeah, I definitely like some Harkins this week. 6,800, 8,600 on FanDuel, good price too. Hadley, I don't know what to do with him. I think you can play him here. 6,900, no reason not to. I just don't know how much of him I want, or if I want to play like Harkins over Hadley. Because, yeah, I'm just not sure which one of these two guys I'd rather have in that range. Or if I'd rather just go more balanced in the 7Ks. But those are decisions I'll have to make in the next day. Yeah, next day. Han, I won't be on. Surrey might be worth GPP look. Same with Uline. Poulter, I will fade. Nas, worth a look in GPP. But I think I'm fading him despite the course history. Kevin Streelman is a guy that is interesting given the stats, but I don't know if he makes enough birdies to contend here. Siwoo, probably a fade for me. Bill Haas is a fade for me. Billy Horschel, in play for GPPs. Kirk, fade for me. Murray, game fits well here, but I'm going to fade. Swafford, same boat. Glover, fade. Martin Laird, really bad form despite the history. I'm going to fade. Landry, fade. Fade. Garrigus, Armour, Tway, Stricker, Lahiri, Cockrack, fade. McGirt, also going to be faded. McGirt, I think, is actually maybe a decent play given course history, but he hasn't really been playing at all this year. And when he did, it was the Sony, which I think he had good history there too, and he just didn't play well. So that's the end of the video for this week. Shoot me your questions anywhere you can find me, and looking forward to hearing from you. Have a good weekend, and hopefully we get back in the winner's circle.